What is up, guys? Here inside of not Tower Defense Simulator, but we will be making a Tower Defense Simulator tier list. Now, last time we did Tower Defense Simulator tier lists on the towers, and that video went over pretty well. You guys seem to like it, so we are back for major bosses. Now, you might be noticing that a few are missing, and it's because either this is outdated or the maker just forgot to add it. So don't blame them for the issues. I will give my opinions on those bosses once we get to them, though. But yeah, let's just start off this tier list. The first one is Ducky Doom V2. Now, this one was from the Duck Hunt, what's it called? The Duck Hunt event. That's the word that I was trying to think of. Yeah, he wasn't that bad, but I just found him not all that threatening is the problem. So, I'm not gonna say that he's pretty good, but he was good. He did have some pretty good attacks, like he was able to ram through the base, which was the way that he dealt damage. And if I remember correctly, he had some sort of stunning attack too. I think it was like missiles or something, I don't know. But it was pretty good. It's just that I can't really put it here, even though I just said that it was pretty good. I can't really put it in pretty good because it didn't really do much of anything. He didn't really do much of anything. He kind of just sat there, and the damage that he did deal wasn't significant enough to really make him a threat. So yeah. Also, his health, if I remember, was actually pretty low. So yeah, that was also kind of disappointing. So yeah, I'm just gonna put him in good. Now we have Ducky Doom V1. I'm gonna be honest, I think that this boss is either perfect or pretty good. Now, the thing is, this event was made for the Roblox Egg Hunt. Therefore, the boss in easy mode was not that bad. In a hard mode, however, which is what we will be judging off of, it was an entirely different story. Now, he had the minigun attack, which he would just use to blast all your towers down, but you could account for that. It's not like some of the other bosses on this list where they would stun you and you couldn't really do anything about it. You could prepare for his stuns by just, I don't know, getting a medic, because back then, medic actually did work, though it was bugged and for some reason got stunned, so it wasn't at its best states, but it was pretty good. But yeah, because of that, I'm gonna have to say it's perfect, but I'm actually not. I'm gonna have to say it's pretty good, because once again, Ducky Doom was not threatening enough. It felt like you could just place down like a minigunner spam, commanders for COA, and maybe a few outlaws, and he would just die in seconds. Because he just wasn't that threatening at all. So yeah, I'm gonna have to put him in pretty good. If he just had more health, or was like faster or something, then he would have been more threatening and therefore would have ranked higher. But at that, at the area in the game that he was in, I just can't put him there. Now we have Lord Sinister. Now, I did not like the Halloween 2020 event, therefore I did not play it much, therefore I have not seen this boy that much. But from what I remember, he was a pretty cool boss. He seemed good, but again, just like the other two, he died so fast. All you had to do was fill up the cliff near the end of the first area with rangers, and you know, they would just shred away at him. Really the only difficult part of this was just killing the spam that he spawned, but even then it was pretty weak, so it wasn't that difficult to deal with. I do appreciate how cool his fire attack was, though, where he started to breathe fire, so that was pretty good. Yeah, I'm gonna put him in good, because he didn't really have anything else going for him besides that, but that was made pretty well. Next we have the Umbra. The Umbra is tied with the Frost Spirit down here for the most health in the game, aside from the Void Reaver. So that is pretty cool. The Umbra was, it had good graphics, I will say that. It only had 2 attacks though, and the reason why I bring that up is because that made for a very bland fight. You would just spam down accelerators just like every boss, and you would just pray that you didn't have to get stunned that much, because when she shot her arrows into the air that came down and made the red orb things, the shockwaves, that was really the only threat. The other attack where she would shoot the base, that wasn't really a threat once you got to know how to deal with it. However, that being said, that attack did require skill to understand. So that was made pretty well. And it was actually something that you could interact with the game to change. However, that was really it. It was just those 2 attacks, and oh, she has a little rage mode. But really all the rage mode was is that she just moved faster. So, yeah, I'm actually just gonna have to put this one in the bottom of good, because it was nice to have a little bit of a challenge, but at the same time it wasn't really a challenge when she didn't do much. So, yeah. Next we have the Fallen King. Fallen King can access any time of the game, because this is not an event boss, the first one here that isn't. He has 150,000 health, which I feel like for Fallen mode is actually a pretty good balance. He can spawn things, but I feel like the spawn isn't really that threatening unless he's at the end of the map. If he uses it at the start, you basically just tear through everything, and then, oh no, that's a turn wasted on his part. So yeah, he's not really that threatening. His other abilities though, where he can stun, are kinda good, I guess. But overall, he's just pretty slow, and when he blocks, it kind of just feels like he's trying to stall out the fight, because block doesn't really do much besides give you time to kill spam. Even though it was really meant to drain out your abilities, such as Call of Arms and damage boost from John, which is no longer here, so that's very sad. So I'm gonna have to put this one in decent, because it's just not made that good. Fallen Swordmaster, I've only played against him 1 time, and that was when I abused the hardcore military base, the bug, where you could just slow down time with everything. Because I absolutely despise hardcore. I don't care that it got nerfed recently. I still despise it. However, this Fallen Swordmaster was definitely one of the parts that whenever I saw anybody else play, I always got excited for. Because, I mean, first of all, he just looks cool, and it's also a tribute back to this boy right here, who we will be ranking later. Yeah, so that's pretty cool right there. And his attacks, his stuns don't really stun that much. Like his attack where he kind of stabs the ground, it doesn't really do that much, because I feel like the spikes never really hit. So, yeah, it's kind of a useless stun. But besides that, he is pretty good. So we're gonna put him in pretty good. Now, I don't think that he's as good as Ducky Doom V1, but he still is in pretty good. Molten Titan. I don't like this boss. I think it's bad. Now, a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but let's start with the things that I like about it first. I mean, first of all, he looks cool, so that's good, and he is related to the theme of the mode that he's supposed to be the boss for, being Molten Mode, and as you can see, he's made entirely out of molten rock and molten lava. Now, the problem that I have with this is that you will see this guy a lot of times whenever you play the game. If you grind for a golden crate, you're probably going to do Molten Mode, therefore you will see him a lot. If you're speedrunning, you're probably speedrunning either Fallen or Molten Mode, so you're going to see him a lot there. If you do Hardcore, you're going to see him there. He's just not really that, he's not really that rare to see, I feel like, and that's kind of what I don't like about it. His other attacks are also very underwhelming. For example, he has this giant scythe, but all he does with it is hit the ground with it, which is his spawning animation. I was kind of hoping that he would like spin around and stun a bunch of towers with it, or maybe do like what the Raider boss down here did, where he actually killed things. But he's just not that good, and whenever he does spawn, it just feels annoying. The fireball attack, it's not nearly threatening enough. It hits like 4 towers at most, and it's just not. I just don't like this boss. Next we have the Gravedigger. Gravedigger I rarely see because, again, why would I? I never play normal mode because there's literally no reason to. It's harder than Molten and gives worse rewards. So, yeah. But from the last time that I played, which was about 2 weeks ago, on normal mode, he is a pretty cool boss. He does have very good animations, yeah, he looks kind of cool, but he doesn't do much. However, I can get behind that because he's not supposed to do much, as it's normal mode is supposed to be the mode for beginners, although since there's only 30 waves, it makes it harder. So if they ever were to balance that, then this guy would be a lot higher. But as of currently, I'm just gonna have to put him right behind the Fallen King. He's just not really that good. Swordmaster. This guy killed me hundreds of times, and because of that, I have to put him in perfect. It is just the perfect boss design where it doesn't let new players just walk in, instantly win the game, and get the event tower. These guys, the Umbra, obviously you need to be skilled at that, but that's just more of a pay-to-win thing. This, the Ducky Doom V1 though, you could walk in with basically any towers, and worst case scenario, you would have to do easy mode, which gave you towers already. And then Ducky V2, literally all you needed was Sniper, which is a free tower that is automatically in your loadout as soon as you join the game. So, yeah, that sucked. Lord Sinister, you couldn't even access if you were new at the game, so I guess that was kind of cool there. But Swordmaster, he had a variety of attacks. His minions actually felt like they were contributing to the game. And, you know, he just was that one really cool boss that you always wanted to defeat, but you couldn't because you would just get screwed over by him over and over and over, to the point where I never beat it, like already mentioned. So, therefore, I had to pay to win to get Gladiator, unfortunately. But that's how I think that a boss should be. Like I said, you shouldn't just walk into the game and instantly kill the boss with 0 difficulties if you're new. You should have to actually have skill to win the game. Therefore, Swordmaster is the perfect boss. Alright, now we have Penumbris, or Penumbra, whatever you want to call her, or him. Yeah, not assuming pronouns, but I do believe it is confirmed that it's a him. I don't know. But Penumbra, or Penumbris, I'm gonna call him Penumbra, though. Penumbra is pretty cool. He has decent attacks. It's just that once again, once you really beat him one single time, kind of like the Gravedigger and Lord Sinister. Once you kill him once, there's not really a reason to go back because then you unlock Night 4, which is where you can actually get the tower. So there wasn't really ever a reason to revisit his area. But he was cool while you were there, I guess. He wasn't bad, and he does look pretty cool, and he did have some pretty cool attacks, and he was actually threatening. It's just that there wasn't really ever a reason to go back to him. Therefore, I'm gonna have to put him in the end of pretty good. Next we have the Swamp Monster. This boss, I have mixed opinions on it. It's not bad, but it's not good. Yeah. It looks cool. It has tridents, and it's the first trident boss that we've ever seen. Therefore, it is extremely cool already. So yeah, but besides that, there wasn't really anything to this. It was really just a battle of can you get golden minigunners and accelerators before he comes out. Therefore, I'm just gonna have to put him at the start of decent, I guess, because he's not good, like I said, but he's also not terrible. So. Next we have Jax, the boss variant. There is also Jax the enemy, which is currently not in the game because Hidden Wave is down. But Jax the boss was a pretty good boss. You barely got any time to prepare for him, therefore he was very weak, in fact being the weakest boss in the game. If I remember correctly, there might have been like one that I'm just forgetting about, or I might just be confusing this with Critical Tower Defense. But Jax, he's pretty good of a boss. He has his axe, and it does seem to be made pretty well. It kind of is like a boomerang, where it hits a bunch of towers and then it comes back to him. So that's cool animation there. His minions though were much weaker than him, so it always was awkward to fight him because it was such a difference in the health amounts. Like the scarecrows, which were the last enemies before him, I believe had like 60 to 80 health. I don't know. I haven't watched footage of it recently. And then he just comes in with his 5,000 health. So it's like, that's kind of weird of a design, but at the same time, I actually kind of like that. Because he actually kind of feels threatening once this happens. Now, I'm gonna have to put him at the start of good, and I want to put him in pretty good, but you could just kill him with only scouts and supports. And if you got really lucky, you could just kill him with the scout unit. Not even golden scouts, just normal old scouts, because he was just that easy of a boss. So, I'm gonna have to put him down here in the top of good. Otherwise, though, he was almost perfect. Next, we have the Frost Spirit. Frost Spirit tied with the Umbra for 1,000,000 health. It's pretty cool boss. Again, it has a scythe, but does not hit anything with it, if I remember correctly. So that's disappointing. It has wings, and the wings actually do come into play during the rage mode, which is very cool. And it does actually have like physics to it, where it does make sense. I did that, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, there we go. Now, thing that I have when I say that it has physics is that you can see that the Frost Spirit is extremely big, so it would make sense that the wings wouldn't be able to carry him fully, and they don't, which is why he doesn't get flying, or why he doesn't become a flying unit when he activates his wings. Now, because of this, that is pretty cool, and I like that. Just like Lord Sinister, he does have like ice instead of fire breathing abilities. So that's also pretty cool. But the problem that ruins this boss for me is that he moves so slowly that he will almost never reach the second half of the map if you played well. You don't even have to play good. As long as you played well and placed your towers in at least semi-decent spots, he will never reach the middle point of the map. Therefore, I'm going to have to put him at the end of good. Next, we have the Nuclear Fallen King. He's basically just an upgraded variant of the Fallen King, except he stuns a lot more and has more health. So therefore, I'm going to put him just right below the Fallen King. There's not really much that needs to be said there. He has more health, so that would put him ahead, but then he just stun spams the whole time. So that, that puts him behind. Next, we have Krampus, another boss that I never beat. So I, again, had to pay to win for the Frost Blaster. And look how good it is now. But Krampus, he was a pretty cool boss. I can't remember too much about him, but I do remember him actually being threatening, because I never won. And I remember him having like a rage mode ability where he would take off his mask. And no, that's just actually really cool, in my opinion. So I'm going to put him right ahead of Jax, because he's not so memorable that I'm able to remember everything I did, but he's also not terrible. Now we have Jacobot. A boss that I wasn't around for. I took a break during the Halloween 2019 event, therefore I didn't see the event at all. So that's unfortunate. So I really can't rank him, but I do have, I have seen footage of him, and from what I can see, he is a pretty good boss. But again, he's pretty slow. Therefore, he's not really a threat if you had played pretty well. Though it did require some skill, because if you couldn't just walk in there like the Frost Spirit place down just like one overpowered tower. Accelerate. But yeah, you did actually have to have some skill with him. But once you did have those good towers, it really wasn't that difficult to kill him. So therefore, I'm gonna put him. Let's put him right ahead of Lord Sinister. Next, we have the Creator, one of my favorite bosses in the game. I absolutely love this boss. It's threatening, but not too threatening. It's not threatening to the point where it's unbeatable. It's threatening though. Its stuns are well thought out. The spawning is also well thought out. And it is a difficult boss to actually reach. So the Creator is the boss of Hidden Wave. It has 600,000 health, if I remember correctly. So that is pretty cool. And the spawning of the glitched enemies is really cool. So that is going to have to give it some pretty good points. Now, I feel like everything was thought out perfectly with this boss. If you look at when I first beat Hidden Wave, you can see we literally beat it just barely. He was about to kill us, and then he didn't, which is exactly how it should be, because we were going full force. We made like one mistake, I believe, and you could see that costed us. Once again, it should be like that. If you just walk in there and don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't be able to kill the boss. You should have to have some strategy put into it, and you shouldn't be able to just do anything with abilities. You should actually have to be properly chaining the commanders and rotating your towers, managing medics. You should actually have to be doing that. Therefore, he's imperfect, because that is what he did. Now, Raider boss, my favorite boss in the game. I know that I just said that about Creator, but this one actually is my personal favorite. However, I can't say that he's a perfect boss, because he's really cool. Trust me, he has a gun, and guns are pretty cool. And he is the only boss in the game that was actually able to kill units, so that was pretty nice. His minions were also well thought out. He had a pretty decent amount of health, but there's one factor that ruins literally every part of the boss fight. He walks incredibly slowly, being one of, if not the slowest enemy in the game. Maybe the Void Reaver walks a little bit slower, I don't know, but you would barely even see him moving, and Area 51 as a map was extremely long. Therefore, once again, it's the same thing with with some of the other bosses, such as the Frost Spirit. He wouldn't even get halfway across the map. If you walked in with basically any towers and somehow made it to wave 16, because the previous waves actually were pretty difficult, if you somehow made it there, you basically just won. As soon as you killed all of the spam, you basically just won. The boss itself wasn't difficult at all. The Raider boss just seemed like something that was just there to stall out the game. So that way maybe you would die to access spam. But he just wasn't threatening at all. He was cool, but he just felt like more of a support boss than an actual boss. So, I feel like he shouldn't have been the boss himself. There should have been one further boss that was actually the boss, and he was just like the guardian of that boss, if that makes sense. Basically, he should have been the Fallen Guardian to the Fallen King, except Area 51 unit. So therefore, I'm gonna have to put him right below Ducky Doom V1, because yeah, he's pretty cool like that. Now we have the Void Reaver. Like mentioned, this is one of, if not the slowest enemies in the game. So yeah, that's pretty cool. He has the most health in the game at 1.4 million, I believe it is. I don't know for sure, because once again, I never play hardcore mode, and I didn't play, I haven't played the new version of it. I've heard that it's a lot easier now. It's not rigged, so that we have to use glitches to win. But I don't know. So I believe he's the exact same, except there's only one of him now, and he just has 1.4 million health. Now, what I remember is that he walks very slowly, so that would already get him into pretty terrible. However, Yeah, he throws his sword, and that deals damage to your base in a way that could kill you, but it caps out at 1, therefore it can't kill you, it just weakens you. But otherwise, he doesn't really do much. He kind of just hangs out, spawns souls by stunning your towers, which is a very cool design. Honestly, that's what the molten boss should have done. It hits your tower. It hits your towers with its scythe, and then just some sort of invisible ghost enemy comes out and starts rushing. It should have done that. Back to the Void Reaver though. That is a very cool design. So therefore, I will have to say this is somewhere in the top 3 of good. I'd probably say the first top 3. Alright, now, bosses that are not listed. There's really only 2 that I want to bring up, being Walks the Fox and the Golden Titan. Now, the Walks the Fox, I don't really like that fight. I would say that it's along with the Molten Titan, or the Molten Boss, because it's not threatening at all. You basically just walk in there. If you're not doing Lost Souls, you just walk in there, spam accelerators, boom, he dies instantly. If you are doing Lost Souls, at least there's a little bit more strategy to it. But again, then it's just really spam minigunners and golden minigunners until he dies. Therefore, there's not really a lot of strategy with him. The jump scare attack doesn't really seem scary at all. It just seems more annoying than scary. Because you always just are placing stuff, and then all of a sudden, oh no, the screen goes dark and you get a jump scare. And it's just not scary at all. It's just annoying because you can see the map even less on Lost Soul mode. So yeah, I would say that he's right ahead of the Molten Boss. Now, Golden Titan, 3rd perfect. He was a very good boss. He was structured almost perfectly, in my opinion. He was a little bit slow, just like some of the other bosses in this list. But besides that, he was basically perfect. His stunning was perfect. His spawning was perfect. He had very good animations. His appearance was a little bit awkward, because it did seem that like he was all different pieces, which was by design, but at the same time that made the fight rather awkward, the way that he moved. But otherwise, he was perfect. So, before we conclude this as our final tier list, I do want to compare some things to what we have now, just as a final thing. I can't help but notice that nothing's in pretty terrible, so that's pretty good. However, I do think that the Molten Titan is just barely edging there. Depending on what we move, I might put him in pretty terrible. I'd say the top 3 are perfect. Ducky Doom, maybe he's not that good, actually. I still think that he's ahead of the Raider boss, but maybe the Fallen Sword Master is there. Penumbrous, yeah, I'll say ahead of the Raider boss. Not ahead of Ducky though. The Void Reaver, I don't know why he's down here in good. I honestly think that I should put him in the end of pretty good. Because he is, like mentioned, pretty cool. And then we have Krampus. I'd say he's in a good spot. Jax, I'd also say. I'm gonna move Ducky V2 down. So I want him ahead or behind. I'm gonna say a little bit ahead of the Gravedigger. Jacobot, yeah, he's in the right spot, I'd say. Lord Sinister, I'm gonna move. Actually, no, I'm gonna keep Lord Sinister where he is. Frost Spirit, I'd say. Actually, no, I'm gonna put Frost Spirit at the very start of decent. The Umbra should be good there at the end of good. Swamp Monster, actually, I think Swamp Monster should be at the end of good. He's not that bad of a boss now that I think about it. These two, they're in the right place. Gravedigger, I'm actually gonna put Gravedigger in bad. Yeah, I just don't really like his fight either. It's just not the greatest. And then I'm actually gonna move Molten Boss down to pretty terrible, yeah. But yeah, that is our final tier list. So we have the Swordmaster, the Creator, and the Golden Titan, who I don't have an image for, in perfect. In pretty good, we have Fallen Swordsmaster, the Ducky Doom V1, Penumbra, Raider boss, and then Void Reaver. In good, we have Krampus, Jax as a boss, not the enemy, Jacobot, Lord Sinister. Oh wow, all the Halloween bosses are together. Then the Umbra, then the Swamp Monster. In decent, we have Frost Spirit, Fallen King, then Nuclear Fallen King, then Ducky Doom V2. In bad, we have Gravedigger, then Walks the Fox, who I also don't have an image for. And then pretty terrible, we have the Molten Boss. So if you guys agree with my tier list, which I know that you guys do not, but if you somewhat agree at all, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to this new channel, or you want to see some more Tower Defense Simulator tier list. I definitely will be doing more because I do have some more ideas for this. So depending on how this goes, this second episode goes, I'll probably do another one. But if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to this new channel so that way you don't miss out on any videos that you might be interested in. Don't subscribe if you're not interested though. But everybody, peace out.